All right. I think this is acceptable. It's like 8:40. All right. Ooh. Hello, good morning. It is I, your host, Pogo Kiddo, with yet another episode of Redstone Lapis Lazuli. Okay, here we go. We're gonna try to switch it over. Java Minecraft back to game. No, it's gonna crash. It's crashing. It's crashed. It crashed. It crashes every time. Every time. I don't know why. I can't figure out what it is. I think it's just the drivers or something. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. Like the other day, I was always complaining about how my system would always crash, and I always thought that like I never could figure out. Finally, someone put a comment on Reddit that made me understand like what was going on. So my computer would always crash whenever I started up like a game or something, or like drew a lot of power. I ramped up both my CPU and my video card, and what I found out was that there was a big power spike, and that would kill the system. The power spike would kill the system. So the way to mitigate the power spike is to reduce the power level of the video card by 1%. Just by 1%. Just by reducing it by 1%, I've like done wonderful things in stability. It's very, very stable, not really any loss of performance. And it doesn't crash. And I was able to overclock my CPU because the power spike is gone. So yay! All the good things are coming. Once you figured out the one bad thing. Turn this to live chat. All right. So yeah, welcome to my show. So this here is like my attempt at making a dome. It's not a very good dome. But it's a dome. It's getting there, and I had to light up the top because, yeah, the what's it called? Spawns. I can go ahead and try to like get a better block. This block isn't the best, like this texture. And then I might even put like slabs up here to make it so it's spawn proof. But yeah, it's pretty nice. I just kind of built it while listening to music from blocksonic.com, which is like this hip-hop label. And it's great. I love it. It's great. You can just listen to good hip-hop. Yeah, super nice. How come this is missing? Like, what happened there? How did that just not work anymore? What? See, things are weird. Like, how did that happen? How do you just like suddenly lose three blocks? I don't know. I don't know how that happened. Suddenly 3 blocks are gone from my door. But anyways, it's nice, right? It's nice. Now I can look out my window, and every window I look out of, I see something like that I built. So it's pretty cool, man. I'm getting there. Pretty cool, pretty cool. I'm running the latest drivers for AMD RADEON, and the fluid frame motion frames are kind of working. I don't think they worked as good as the last drivers, but that's all right. Then I found this optimization called a mod called experimental optimizations, and basically what it does is that, so the way the computer is set up is that it can take 64 bytes of information per line. It used to be only 32 bytes of information, but they doubled it to 64, which sounds pretty cool, right? But a lot of things in Minecraft aren't set up for that. They're set up for like 80 lines or like 100 something something lines. So even though the computer's set up for 64 bits at a time, like it was all janky because the memory things were bigger than the slot. So somebody made some optimizations to the memory to make it try to fit into the 64 bit slots, and it works. Yeah, it worked pretty good. It works like you can't see right now while I have OBS running, but yeah, it works pretty good. I'm pleased. So I've been flying around in my Minecraft world just being like, ooh, smooth. I had to go look for more copper because I don't really pick up copper. But now copper is gonna, in the next update, copper will have a use. So I might go be digging up more copper. And I found a website that teaches you how to make domes. So that's a tiny 14 by 14 dome, but I can make a much bigger one and much rounder one somewhere else. So yeah, I might do that. I might make a dome. A dome. I have to figure out where though. So yeah, here I am in Minecraft. La la la. Oh yeah, and I built this house, but I think you saw that last week. Yes. You saw that last week. So it's all good. It's all working out. Nice, pretty house. Ooh. With a basement even. And then I want to eventually make a path down here. Eventually. Somewhere down there. Although it goes straight down. It's pretty deep. Like, it's a cliff. I don't know what I can do for, to make a little fishing spot here. Except make a pier, maybe. Like, I don't know how. Pretty deep. It goes straight down. Alright. Ooh, I missed. Okay then. I have a lot to talk about, so why don't we just get right into it? Okay, so where should we even start? The 14th Amendment. You can't even see it. The 14th Amendment. No person shall be a senator or a representative in Congress or elector of a president and vice president or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or under any state who, having previously taken an oath as a member of Congress or as an officer of the United States, or as a member of any state legislature, or as an executive or judicial officer of any state, to support the Constitution of the United States, shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same, or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. But Congress may, by a vote of 2/3 of each house, remove such a disability. So, that amendment to the Constitution, that part of the Constitution says, if you waged war against the United States, because your oath is to defend the Constitution. So if you waged war against the Constitution, you broke your oath. And you can never ever hold office again, because all the offices are held under the authority of the Constitution. So if you tried to overthrow the Constitution, you've already proven that you're not loyal to the Constitution, that your oath means nothing, and that you are ineligible to serve under the Constitution ever again. So that's happening right now to Donald Trump. Donald Trump waged an insurrection against the United States. And he knows that the only way he can avoid accountability for his insurrection is by becoming president again. Because according to Donald Trump, the president is a dictator. Presidents cannot be held responsible for anything while they're president. So that's perfect for Donald Trump because he likes to commit all sorts of crimes, and he's got all these crimes that are coming after him. So all these consequences that are coming after him for the crimes he's committed. So he's very interested in a position where he could be immune to all legal obligations. His lawyer said as much. His lawyer argued. So there was a court hearing this past week about presidential immunity. They went to a 3-panel appeals court, and the judge asked the lawyer, so lawyer for Donald Trump, if there's a president who ordered SEAL Team 6 to assassinate all the members of his political enemies, if he ordered SEAL Team 6 to assassinate all the political enemies of the president, could the president then resign the next day and then be immune from prosecution? And Trump's lawyer said yes. Trump's lawyer said if Donald Trump ordered SEAL Team 6 to kill all the Democrats, the only way you could take Donald Trump to court is if Congress impeaches him and the Senate convicts him. That's the only way. But if Donald Trump murders all the Democrats, then there won't be a House or a Senate to hold him responsible. Therefore, he gets away with it. Ta-da! So that tells you Donald Trump is a criminal. He's literally arguing that he is above the law, that he doesn't have to obey any law whatsoever. And that he says, because I don't have to obey any laws, you should make me your dictator. And there's a lot of people that agree with him, saying, yeah, that's the dictator I want. Not understanding that by giving Donald Trump those powers, you also give those powers to Joe Biden. And if you gave those powers to Joe Biden, what are you doing impeaching him for? There's nothing to impeach him for because he's immune, according to your what's it called? Your own arguments. So it's a bad deal what Donald Trump is trying to do. Donald Trump is literally trying to argue that he's above the law. And there's a lot of people in the United States who support Donald Trump, not because he makes sense, but because they're brainwashed into following a cult leader. Like, they don't have any idea whatsoever about Donald Trump. They just want to follow Donald Trump. They don't care what he says. So he's already arguing that he's above the law. Listen.
Order SEAL Team 6 to assassinate a political rival. That's an official act in order to SEAL Team 6?
He would have to be and would speedily be, impeached and convicted before the criminal prosecution.
What if he weren't? There would be no criminal prosecution, no criminal liability for that?
Chief Justice's opinion in Marbury against Madison and our Constitutional tradition and the plain language of the impeachment judgment clause all clearly presuppose that what the founders were concerned about was not.
I asked you a yes or no question. Could a president who ordered SEAL Team 6 to assassinate a political rival who was not impeached, would he be subject to criminal prosecution?
If he were impeached and convicted first. And
so your answer is
no. My answer is qualified yes. There is a political process that would have to occur under the structure of our Constitution, which would require impeachment and conviction by the Senate. In these exceptional cases, as the OLC memo itself points out from the Department of Justice, you'd expect a speedy impeachment and conviction. But what the founders were much more worried about than using criminal prosecution to discipline presidents was what James Madison calls in Federalist Number 47, the newfangled and artificial treasons. They were much more concerned about the abuse of the criminal process for political purposes to disable the presidency from factions and political opponents. And of course, that's exactly what we see in this case.
I've asked you a series of hypotheticals about criminal actions that could be taken by a president and could be considered official acts, and I've asked you, would such a president be subject to criminal prosecution if he's not impeached or convicted?
Requirement.
And your answer, your yes or no answer is no.
I believe I said qualified yes if he's impeached and convicted first.
My question was, okay, so he's not impeached or convicted. Let's put that aside. You're saying a president could sell pardons, could sell military secrets, could order SEAL Team 6 to assassinate a political rival.
Sale of military secrets strikes me as something that might not be held to be an official act. The sale of pardons is something that's come up historically and was not prosecuted.
But your brief says that communicating with an executive branch agency is an official act, and communicating with a foreign government is an official act. That's what presidents do.
They're very strong situations. There's very strong examples of potential official acts. If you look at what Chief Justice Marshall said in Medicine, he said, arising directly under Article 2, Section 1, that the courts, that the president's official acts are, quote, never examinable by the courts. And he says it like 4 different times on pages 164 to 166.
Well, let me ask you about that then, counsel, because your position is, as I understand it, if a president is impeached and convicted by Congress, then he is subject to criminal prosecution, correct?
That would be a necessary said to prosecution.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay. So therefore, he's not completely and absolutely immune, because under the procedure that you concede, he can be prosecuted if there's an impeachment and conviction by the Senate.
Very, very formidable structural check against the astonishing radical action of prosecuting a former president with official acts.
Right, but you're conceding that presidents can be criminally prosecuted under certain circumstances.
Specifically, if they're impeached and convicted, I think that's the main branch of the impeachment judgment.
And isn't that also a concession that a president can be criminally prosecuted for an official act? Because presidents can be impeached for official acts.
Under those unique circumstances.
Correct. But given that you're conceding that presidents can be criminally prosecuted under certain circumstances, doesn't that narrow the issues before us to, can a president be impeached? Can a president be prosecuted without first being impeached and convicted? All of your other arguments seem to fall away. Your separation of powers arguments fall away. Your policy arguments fall away if you concede that a president can be criminally prosecuted under some circumstances.
I disagree with that. The Constitution, in the Article 2, Section 1 vesting clause, as interpreted very clearly by Chief Justice Marshall and Rodriguez Madison, says Article 3.
So the lawyer's trying to dance around it. Trump's lawyer's trying to dance around it. But what he said was that if essentially you can criminally charge a president, but only after he's been tried and convicted by the Senate, which is funny because when the Mueller investigation was going around, they were saying the opposite. Oh wait, no, were they saying the opposite? Let me think. You can't impeach and try a president because there was no criminal action. They said both. So Donald Trump is arguing two different things. First, he says you cannot impeach a president for his crimes because you didn't go through the criminal justice process. They say so Donald Trump cannot be impeached or convicted by the Senate because he was never formally charged with the crime. Then he also says, and you cannot formally charge the president with the crime because you have to impeach and convict him first. They say both things. They said both things. Donald Trump is saying that you cannot impeach a president without the criminal justice system, and you cannot use the criminal justice system until you impeach a president. So that means Donald Trump is above the law. That's what his argument. That's what his lawyer is saying. That's what he's been saying over like this whole time. Donald Trump has been arguing that Donald Trump is above the law, which is bullshit because we know he's not. I mean, maybe in practice, but not in theory. He's not above the law in theory. So you got to look at Donald Trump as being like he for sure wants to become a dictator. We know this. Now, the other funny thing is that you ask people, well, because Donald Trump he's been echoing Hitler. He's been repeating a lot of Hitler stuff. And one of the Hitler things he said was that the immigrants were poisoning the blood of our country. Which was really weird to think about, right? Really weird. Immigrants, that's something Hitler said. That's like out of his book, Mein Kampf. That immigrants were poisoning the blood of the country. So Donald Trump is echoing the same things that Hitler was saying. But think about it. That's kind of weird though, right? If you're white, it means you're an immigrant. No matter what. I don't care if you're like if your people came here like generations ago. It doesn't matter. They're not from here. They came here. Which means all white people are descendants of immigrants. So Donald Trump is saying all white people are poisoning the blood of the United States. Now, of course, Donald Trump doesn't mean that. He means the white people are the indigenous people here, and that anyone who came after the white people are the ones poisoning the blood of the country. But, you know, that's because Donald Trump was a Nazi. So you ask, right? You ask all the voters, and a majority of Americans, voters, disagree with Trump. They say, no, we don't think that immigrants poison the blood of the country. No. But if you ask Republican voters, specifically Republican voters who vote in the primary, you find out a vast majority of them agree that immigrants, they agree with Donald Trump and Adolf Hitler. So a majority of Republican primary voters agree with Hitler that immigrants poison the blood of a country. Kind of scary that the people voting to see who's going to represent the Republicans are all agreeing with a Nazi. Kind of scary, kind of concerning. Kind of concerning that the Republicans are pretty much Nazis. Now you can see this picture is from a rally in 2016. And you can see both, there's the Trump flag and the Confederate flag. The Trump flag and the Confederate flag. That's because they're one and the same thing. They're the same thing. Donald Trump and the Confederacy are the same thing. Donald Trump is trying to overthrow the Constitution. The Confederacy wants to overthrow the Constitution. Donald Trump hates anyone that's not white. Confederates hate anyone that's not white. Donald Trump thinks he's above the law. The Confederacy thinks they're above the law. So it's not like it's a mystery as to who Donald Trump is, what he's about, and what his followers are about. They're Nazis. They're essentially Nazis. So do you remember like back in like 2017? I think this is the moment that I became radicalized. This is when I became radicalized against Nazis.
When you look at Charlottesville, especially that Friday night with the tiki torches.
One people, one nation, and immigration.
They're Nazis,
the
dude.
Country was
They're
shocked
fucking Nazis.
because those folks looked like
That asshole came from UNR.
They didn't have the people in your neighborhood.
That asshole right there. This motherfucker.
Where
Where's he at? Come back here. Come back here. That guy, that motherfucker right there, that piece of shit right there, flew all the way from fucking Nevada to Charlottesville, or to Charlotte, to participate in a Nazi rally. What a piece of shit. I'm from the University of Nevada. We're like, I hope you got kicked out of school because you're a piece of shit.
Like people in your neighborhood.
Yeah, look at all these Nazis, dude. They're all Nazis.
They didn't have the tattoos all over their body. They looked like somebody that you might know.
The shocking images.
And then they murdered Heather Heyer. This guy here used his car to kill Heather Heyer. So these are Nazis for sure. They're all Nazis. They're all behind Donald Trump. Donald Trump called them very fine people the next day. He said these Nazis that murdered Heather Heyer were very fine people. So anyone who's following Donald Trump is a Nazi at this point. I mean, they may be the nicest person, right? Your 75-year-old neighbor. They're Nazis. Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird that your 75-year-old neighbor is a Nazi? Like, they wouldn't be able to admit it. They would deny it if you told them what was going on. But by their vote and by their words, and they're Nazis. Remember, birds of a feather flock together. Birds of a feather flock together. I don't know how. So, here, what else do we have? Here we have Roger Stone. Roger Stone reportedly says leading Democratic congressman has to die. Trump ally and confessed dirty trickster said either Eric Swalwell or Jerry Nadler had to die before the 2020 election. Hold on, let me go squirt my cat. Hey, kitty cat, where are you? Let me go squirt you, because you're making a lot of noise, and you're up where you're not supposed to be. I'm gonna squirt you, cat. You ready? Where are you? Where are you, cat? Where are you, cat? I'm gonna squirt you. As soon as I find you. Oh, he looks like he ran away. Alright, he stopped. Because he knew I was coming for him. Alright. So yeah, man, it's freaking cold here. It's 18 degrees Fahrenheit. I think it's like -8 Celsius. It's cold. It's not supposed to get this cold. So Roger Stone is already plotting to kill people. Oh, there it is again. Where's it at? Where's it at? Where is it? Where are you doing this at? Where is it? Where's the cat that's doing this? I'm looking for the cat. Maybe it's not in here. Where's that kitty cat? Who's doing that? Where's the dude cat? He's the guy doing it. He's gonna wait till I'm back and sitting down again to do it. Damn it. Fucking cat. Alright. He's doing it again. I don't know where he is. Where's this cat? don't know. I don't know where the cat is. He's got a new hiding spot. All right. All right, I found his new hiding spot. All right, I'm gonna get more coffee. Damn it, fucking cat. All right. So, as I was saying before, my cat made a bunch of noise and drew me away. He's gonna wake up all the neighbors. I mean, like, I'm making up the neighbors now, but all right. So, Trump ally Roger Stone reportedly told an associate one of two prominent Democratic congressmen had to die before the election in 2020. It's time to do it, quote, said Stone, which cited a recording the outlet made that was made at a Florida restaurant. Let's go find Swalwell. It's time to do it. Then we'll see how brave the rest of them are. It's time to do it. It's either Nadler or Swalwell that has to die before the election. They need to get the message. Let's go find Swalwell and get this over with. I'm just not putting up with this shit anymore. Like, yeah, and so Roger Stone said, "No, you guys are lying," and then they're like, "Yeah, listen to it then."
Either Swalwell or Nadler has to die before the election. They need to get the message.
I'm dying.
Yeah. So it's a recording. They have it. It's there. It's real. So already Roger Stone, you know Roger Stone, right? Roger Stone has been like a fascist for a long time. He's the one that did the Brooks Brother riot 1.0. Um, 2000. So you remember Brooks Brother Riot 1.0. Back in the year 2000, Roger Stone led a bunch of people to the office where they were counting the votes in Florida, and he used violence to stop them from counting the vote. That stopped Al Gore from winning the state of Florida and winning the presidency. Instead, it went to the Supreme Court, where by 5-4, by party lines, 5-4, the swing voter, Sandra Day O'Connor, siding with the Republicans to award the presidency to W. Bush. So the swing voter went with the Republicans to give the vote, the presidency, to George W. Bush. Once George W. Bush had power, he used his power to start two wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. And Afghanistan will become the longest war that the United States has ever been in because of W. Bush. And then he would put on the court Supreme Court Justice John Roberts, who then John Roberts was the one who struck down or whatever, was the one who did Citizens United, which was the court case that let dark money into our political process. So, and he would eventually lead to the downfall of Roe v. Wade. So, yeah, like a lot of this started with George W. Bush, the coup where George W. Bush took power. And that happened because Roger Stone started a riot to stop them from counting the vote. Roger Stone tried to do the same thing in 2020 in Pittsburgh. And he also, Giuliani, was attacking election workers in Georgia. That's the whole Shea Moss and Ruby Freeman court case that Giuliani lost, and he has to pay like millions of dollars now. So it's not like it's it's not like Roger Stone is like an innocent guy. He's been messing with American elections since at least the year 2000. Roger Stone is a bad guy. So when he says he wants to assassinate Congress members, remember that the lawyers for that side are saying the president is legally allowed to assassinate his opponents. Remember, Republicans are Nazis. This is the message I have been trying to get to you since the beginning. Republicans are Nazis. Okay, what else do we got here? Here is Chris Christie. That's Chris Christie. Look at him. Doesn't he look happy? He looks so happy. He looks so happy. He is hugging Donald Trump. Chris Christie was the campaign manager for Donald Trump until Paul Manafort came in and kicked him off. And Paul Manafort, once he kicked off Chris Christie from the Trump campaign, Paul Manafort made it so that the Republicans would remove from their platform any mention about sanctioning Russia. Paul Manafort did that after he kicked off Chris Christie. So Chris Christie got fucked by Donald Trump, and he's still like hugging him. Why? Why would that happen? Because it's mob. They're mob tactics, dude. That's what mobs do. Chris Christie got put in his place by the boss, and he's letting the boss know that he knows his place. Chris Christie is not a good guy. No way. He's a bad guy, just like everyone else, all the other Republicans. So, like, remember, Donald Trump hangs out with, was on the fight log for Jeffrey Epstein's, like, Lolita Express. So, Donald Trump has totally been down that road with him. Like, I get angry at Obama for doing drone warfare, but when it comes down to it, who's the one doing the drone warfare? Barack Obama did like almost 6,000. He almost did 6,000 drone strikes. Donald Trump, with half the time of Obama, did over double the number of drone strikes. So if I'm already against drone strikes for Barack Obama, Donald Trump has been like ridiculous. And then Joe Biden hasn't done a drone strike yet. But he's getting ready to, because he's pulling us into a war in the Middle East. But I'll get to that later. So you have to remember, these Republicans are basically the spiritual reincarnation of the Confederacy. For example, so this guy here, Jack Prosobeek, this guy, Jack Prosobeek, I guess he's a right-winger, or like a famous right-wing person on the right. And look what he says. Look what he's saying. Jack, so he's a white supremacist. He's a Nazi, okay? This guy's a Nazi, just so you know. He puts the American flag, but really his flag is the Confederate flag. Like, they often do this to camouflage. They put up the American flag, but really they're flying the Confederate flag. So listen to what Jack Prosobeek says. The Civil Rights Act was the Treaty of Versailles for white people. What's he saying there? What's that mean? Well, this person up here, Patrick Chauvanek, says, let's be perfectly clear here. He's saying that the end of Jim Crow segregation, separate bathrooms for blacks and whites, blacks sit at the back of the bus, no blacks allowed in white restaurants or schools, was an intolerable injustice to whites. This is the alt-right. So in other words, here, let me give you context, right? Because that's like a lot of stuff. So you can understand what he's really saying, because like if you don't know what he's saying, then it's not gonna make any sense to you. But he's dog whistling to other Nazis. That's what he's doing. He's dog whistling to Nazis. So let me show you how he's dog whistling to Nazis. So what is the Treaty of Versailles? What is the Treaty of Versailles? The Treaty of Versailles. Versailles is a castle. It's an estate, a giant fucking castle outside of Paris, where one of the kings of I forget which one. One of the kings of France used to live there with Marie Antoinette. So it was one of the, like Louis or Henry, I don't know. No, not Henry, but Louis, some Louis, one of the Louis. Like this, there was like a ton of Louis. So I don't know French history very well. But the Treaty of Versailles, so Louis and Marie Antoinette lived at Versailles, which was this beautiful. I've been there, right? I've been there. It's a beautiful castle. It's a huge castle. It's huge. And it was funny. It was hilarious because I was a tour guide, and the tour guide showed us the official office, the Oval Office of Versailles, where the king did all his official duties. And there was a big fat desk there. It was in the corner of the building. It was a big fat desk in there, and there's like one way to come in and stuff. and out the back side, there's another door, right? Like a hidden door that you could walk through to leave the office. And in that room was a bedroom. It's a bedroom. So the idea was that as head of state, the head of state should always be working, which means he should always be at his desk. but that's only while like the people could see what he's doing. When the people left, he left his desk and went back into his bedroom and just chilled, because he's the king. He was king. He was not going to go work or anything. What are you talking about? So that's Versailles, right? And then the people of France got kind of pissed off that the nobles were like, like the aristocracy was like living fat while everyone else was starving. Like they had this, King Louis had this ginormous castle with a ton of servants, like huge place, all just for him, while the people of France were starving and miserable. So yeah, the people of France, after they saw the Americans rise up and throw off the English, the French people were like, hey, that's fucking cool. We can do that too. So they did. The French people rose up and it was real bad. The French Revolution was real bad. That's the revolution about the guillotines, where they just took nobility and just murdered all of them. Yeah, with guillotines. Anyways, Versailles is like a cultural like landmark, a huge cultural landmark for the French people. And then World War I happened. World War I, and then that was awful war. It was an awful war. It was a terrible war. Back then, they called it the Great War because they didn't think any other war could be as bad as that war. So they fight, and then Germany loses the war. Germany loses. And so they go to sign the peace treaty. And what's the place they choose to sign the peace treaty? Versailles. They choose to sign the peace treaty at Versailles. So that's why it's the treaty that ends World War I is called the Treaty of Versailles. Now, if you listen to Nazis, so some people some people say that the Treaty of Versailles was way too harsh on Germany, because it saddled Germany with all the debt all the debt. All the debt. Like, not only do you have to pay for the country you invaded, but you have to pay for the country that came in the war afterwards. So you have to pay for them too. So everybody else who fought in the war against Germany, Germany had to pay them too. So Germany was just absolutely broken after World War I. They lost the war, and the remaining powers put such harsh restrictions on them that it was going to be impossible for the country to get out of it and to like ever be like decent again or normal again. That's one argument. Another argument says no, it wasn't harsh enough. It should have been way harsher. I don't know, right? I'm not a historian. That's not my area. I haven't studied it. I don't really know. I'm just giving you like a little bit of context. I don't know what happened. But if you listen to Nazis in particular, Nazis have a real like bad feeling about the Treaty of Versailles. Nazis will say, "Oh, that was terrible, terrible," they'll all say it's terrible, terrible, and that's what led to the rise of Hitler. The Treaty of Versailles is what led to the rise of Hitler, because the people were so broken and the country so wrecked by the conditions imposed upon them that all it took was a strong man to come up and say, no, it's not your fault, it's their fault, you're great, they're the bad people, and that person was Hitler. Just like how Donald Trump says the same thing. Oh, no, you're not the bad people, you're great, it's those other people who are evil. But right, no one is born a Confederate. That's my difference, though. No one's born a Confederate. You choose to be a Confederate. White people aren't evil by default. That's crazy. They like if you're evil and you're white, it's because you choose to be. I mean, no matter what, you choose to be. A lot of people choose to be evil. They know the difference and they choose it anyways. So Confederates are terrible people. They know what's up, and they choose Confederacy anyways. Nazis are the same way. You know what the truth is. You know what's right. You know what's going on, but you choose it anyways. And you reject anybody who tries to say anything different, because you don't actually believe in free speech. Look at Elon Musk, right? Oh yeah. So what the Nazi here, the Jack Prosobeck is saying that the Civil Rights Act in the United States, that act which said you cannot discriminate against African Americans, you can't have there's no such thing as separate but equal. You can't have segregation, and you can't do all these things which discriminate against black people, and which is great, right? That's like that establishes voting rights, that establishes that protects black Americans a great deal, and it was a necessary. It's sad that it was a necessary step, but it was necessary. It was absolutely necessary to pass the Civil Rights Act. It was absolutely necessary. And Jack Prosobeck, a white supremacist, is saying the equal treatment of other human beings is the same thing as saddling Nazi Germany with a ton of debt for its war. No, dude, no. That's a white supremacist. That's a white supremacist reasoning. They want to remember, white supremacists are all about false equivalence. They're all about false equivalence. So he wants to make those two things equal when they're totally not. One was reparations for an actual war, and the other was recognition of the humanity of another group of people. Because that's essentially what it is. It's recognizing black Americans as humans. That deserving of human rights. That's what the Civil Rights Act does, essentially. But remember, Jack Posobiec is a Nazi. He's a white supremacist. So in his worldview, that is not true. He doesn't believe that black people are equal to white Americans, to white people. He doesn't believe it. He doesn't believe it. He can't believe it, because remember, his number one God is power, and power has already created a hierarchy, a divine hierarchy, and that divine hierarchy is already set up. So by these quote, quote, these liberal people, these other people trying to upset the balance, the natural order, and call them equal is like blasphemy. So he literally cannot conceive of it without giving up his basically having a religious conversion. He would need to have a religious conversion to understand that black Americans are no different from any other human. That all the humans are the same. All the humans are the same. They're all human. All the humans are human. And they all deserve equal human rights. All of them. For him, that's inconceivable. It goes against his God. So he would have to give up his God in order for him to understand what we're talking about. And he's not going to do it. There's no way he would do it. He doesn't have the self. I mean, I can't say that, right? I don't know if there might be a miracle. I've heard of people converting from Trump to like a normal human being. And they say, "Oh my God, I used to follow Trump. I can't believe it. It was so terrible." They came back from Trump. I heard of it. I've heard of it. I haven't seen it, but I've heard of it. Let me just cut this hangnail here. All right. So Jack Posobiec is like one of the intellectual leaders of the Nazis, the American Nazis. And listen, his dog whistle equates equal rights for black Americans to the subjugation of Germany after World War I. Why would he even choose the subjugation of Germany to be the his example? Why not anything else? There's tons of other examples he could have used. I can't think of them offhand, but I'm sure there are. But he specifically chose the one that led to Nazi Germany. So yeah, he's a white supremacist. So that's what we're dealing with. You have to understand it. You have to. I mean, not just for you, but you have to also like spread it, because I don't get out there very much anymore. Like, especially now, we have like we're dealing with like the day after of a massive ice storm in Salem, and all the roads are ice. Everything's ice. It's not going to get above freezing until Tuesday. So all the ice that came down is going to stay until Tuesday, which sucks. It's almost like being snowed in. Because it's not snow. I'm not bitching about snow. Snow is easy. I'm talking about ice, literal ice. What happened is that we have a cold air inversion. So it's not like in Minecraft. in Salem, Oregon right now, up in the mountains, it's warmer up in the mountains than it is down here on the valley floor. Because what happened is cold Arctic air spilled into the valley and got trapped in the valley, because all around it are mountains. So, and it's in a low spot in the valley. And then up high, it's warm. So a storm blows over, and up here it's warm where it is. And so what happens is it rains. It's raining, raining, raining. And that rain falls through the warm air up high and then hits the cold air down low where we are. And it's all cold air and it can't go anywhere. And when it hits the cold air, it turns to ice. It's not water, it's not liquid anymore, it's ice. It's not a snowflake, because snowflakes happen up high. This is not a snowflake. This is literally a water drop that froze on the way down. And so when it hits something, it's an ice pellet. So it's like it's kind of like hailing, but really, really fine. Yeah, so everything's coated in ice. And because of just the way things are, the cold air can't go anywhere. So we're all frozen down here. It's awful. Anyways, how did I get talking about ice? I was talking about the dog whistle of Jack Prosobeck. Prosobeek. They want to do a false equivalence because they're literally Nazis. I wouldn't say literally, but they're spiritually Nazis, spiritually the Confederacy. They don't want to engage in democracy anymore. Some of them cry voter fraud, some of them, but then they can't prove it. And then you ask them, what about the 62 court cases that Donald Trump lost, where he tried 62 times to prove voter fraud and couldn't do it 62 times. What about that? And then they'll say corrupt court case or whatever. So they no longer give any authority to the United States at that point, right? Just like a Confederate is the same way. Confederates also don't give any authority to the United States. Anyways, so you can see they're all like, I'm trying to give you points and then draw lines for you. So you can see how they're all like connected. How Roger Stone is connected to past attempts or past coups. He's a known entity as being a coup plotter. Then we're looking at their intellectual, the Nazi intellectual, and that's Jack Prosobeck. That he passes as an intellectual for the Nazis. And listen to what he's saying. He's doing a false equivalency of equal rights to like to war reparations, which is like crazy because then he's saying therefore the rise of a further rise of right-wing violence is justified, just as it was justified by the Treaty of Versailles that brought about the rise of Nazi Germany. So too will the Civil Rights Act bring rise to the American Confederate. That's what he's saying. That's his logic. That guy and it's wrong. It's incorrect, right? It's the premise is wrong, but he passes for an intellectual on the conservative side. So they listen to what he says. It's dumb. Okay, hold on. So all I'm trying to is let you know is that the Republicans are a Nazi party, right? I want to be crystal clear here. Crystal clear. So here, this is something, because a lot of people want to confuse or conflate the Black Lives Matter protests with January 6th. That's another ploy of the Nazis, false equivalence. Every time, if you bring up January 6th, they would do a thing called "what about," which is like a fallacy. They'll say, "What about BLM? What about them? What about that?" So what they're trying to do is change the topic from January 6th to this, because this is their preferred topic. But you can't let them do that. No. The topic is and was and shall be January 6th. They are not connected. And let me disconnect them for you. So This guy like is explaining. I should have like kept it. This guy's explaining to like a government official in a blue state. Quote, I literally had to explain to an agent from a, quote, blue state office the difference between opportunists burning and looting during protests that stemmed legitimate grievance to police brutality versus an insurgent mob whose purpose was to prevent the execution of the democratic process at the behest of a sitting president. The person wrote to Abate. One is a smattering of criminals. The other is an organized group of domestic terrorists. Like, do you see that distinction? They're trying to blur it. They want to blur it. They want to say there's no difference between Black Lives Matter and January 6th. But that's blurring the distinctions. You have to be able to see with your mind's eye and with your actual eyes the difference. You can absolutely see a difference. The vast majority, the vast majority of people protesting for Black Lives Matter were peaceful, non-violent. The vast majority. Look at all it's funny because like people don't take pictures of or like long videos of people being non-violent. Why would you? Because it's not interesting. They only take pictures of conflict. So it creates, if all you see are recordings of conflict, you're gonna have the skewed belief that the whole thing was that way. But no, it wasn't. The vast majority of Black Lives Matter movement was absolutely nonviolent and peaceful. Yes. However, conversely, when you look at videos of January 6th, the vast majority of people there, thousands upon thousands of people that were brought there for the express purpose of attacking the Capitol were in fact pretty violent. There were weapons everywhere. People died from the violence that January 6th brought. It was there for a specific political purpose, which was to stop the transfer of power. Whereas for Black Lives Matter, it was what? Why were they protesting? Because police people were murdering citizens for no reason. There's a big difference. There's a huge difference in the genesis of each movement. So like you can absolutely see it. All you got to do is look. But for a lot of people, the ability to make distinctions, to discern differences, that's been taken away from them. They're not able to do it. It's been conditioned out of them. Like I talked to an older lady one time and she was going off about we have to be colorblind. And I'm like, that's the old way of thinking. And that's what they want you to do. They want you to be colorblind. They don't want you to be able to see color, because if you can't see color, then you can't make distinctions between people. I mean, because if you can't see color, then why is this one group being treated differently than another group? I can't see. I don't know why. Once you put color, like, oh, because they're black. You need to be able to see color. It's stupid to not be able to see color. But that's the old way of thinking. It was an old idea that we have to be colorblind. It was started in good faith, I think. But yeah, not the case. Okay. So, okay, this next part. Now, I've heard it said from right-wing people who say that there were FBI agents in the crowd during January 6th. And I tend to believe it. I tend to believe that it's true. Because, well, for two reasons. One reason is a lot of times Republicans will accuse you of what they're doing. A lot of times, like that whole weaponization of government that the Republicans complain about, they're the ones doing it. And it's pretty clear when you look at the way they treat Hunter Biden. In relation to Devon Archer. Okay. And with their whole impeachment inquiry BS that they're doing with Biden. They're literally, and then plus you look at the historical weaponization of government, what they did to Bill Clinton. So, and to Hillary Clinton afterwards, right? Benghazi, holy shit. So yeah, so Republicans accuse their enemies of what they do all the time. So when Republicans say that there were FBI agents in the crowd, I believe them. But for a different reason than they understand. So let me go look up this guy real quick. Charles McGonigal. Oh, there it is. Open path. Dude, this thing I'm using is so much better than the old search. The new search is like amazing. Charles McGonigal. This was last year, a year ago. Charles McGonigal, who was the special agent in charge of counterintelligence in FBI's New York field office, is under arrest over his ties to Oleg Deripaska, a Russian oligarch. Deripaska. I don't know. So, remember this guy, Charles McGonigal, the special agent in charge of counterintelligence in the FBI's New York field office, has been arrested over ties to Russian oligarch Oleg Deripaska. Deripaska was Paul Manafort's paymaster. Oh, remember Paul Manafort? Manafort was Trump's first campaign chief. Oh, no, that's right. I got that wrong. So, Chris Christie was supposed to be the vice president, the running mate with Donald Trump, not Mike Pence. He's the one who changed it to Mike Pence and stabbed Chris Christie in the back. Okay. Paul Manafort worked with the Russian intelligence. He fed sensitive information on polling and campaign strategy to Russian intel during the 2016 campaign. Why would this guy be sending detailed polling information to the Russians? Why? Would they want to like somehow flip certain key elections? Do you think? Of course, dude. We already did all this with the Mueller report and with the bipartisan Senate Select Intelligence Committee report. Like we've already established this, right? That part's done. So this FBI agent was working for the same dude that Paul Manafort was. That's what I'm saying. So there was actual collusion despite Trump and Jim Jordan's efforts to deny reality. The Senate committee concludes Russia used Manafort and WikiLeaks to help Trump take power. In 2019, U.S. Senator Mitch McConnell helped clear the way for Oleg Deripaska's company, Rusal, to invest $200 million in Kentucky, in his state. So Mitch McConnell got a kickback from the same oligarch that Paul Manafort's working for. And that this dirty FBI agent Charles McGonigal worked for. So, former U.S. Senator Harry Reid's letter to former FBI Director James Comey. You possess explosive information about close ties between Donald Trump and the Russian government. This is on October 30th, 2016. So Harry Reid knew that the FBI or Russia was working with Trump to get Trump elected, and he was saying, yo, you got to tell the American people, you can't just sit on this, you got to let them know. Just to be clear, when the New York Times reported that the FBI saw, quote, no link between Trump and Russia, end quote, a week before the 2016 election, the FBI agent who was just arrested over ties to the Russian oligarch Oleg Deripaska was heading up the investigation. So the same guy who a week before the election said there's no connection between Trump and Russia was the same FBI guy working for the Russian oligarch who he got arrested for it after he did all this. So when people say that there are dirty FBI agents, I believe it. I believe it. This guy is one of them. And he helped get Trump elected by covering up his ties to Russia. But that's not all, right? Because remember, Republicans accuse you of what they're doing. So understanding that, the next part is that a week before the election, I don't have it, maybe I do. A week before the election, Rudy Giuliani dropped a hint that a big October surprise was coming. And he said he was talking to his former FBI friends. So that means, and the thing that he, days after, he said this on a Fox News interview. It was pretty brazen, right? Because that's a sign of manipulation. And then days after that, James Comey reopened the Clinton case, the Clinton email case. Days after that, and that's probably what sunk her. That did damage to her campaign, like at a sensitive time, right before the election happened. Like it was terrible. And then so James Comey was asked, "Why did you do this, dude? Why did you do this?" Because like it was awful for Hillary Clinton that he did it. It was awful. And they asked, "Why did you do it?" And James Comey said, "Because there's a group of people, there's a group of FBI agents who would have leaked. They would have leaked the information had I not opened it. Like I opened it, said there was nothing in it, and then closed it as quick as I could. But it was either that or don't open it and let the FBI agents leak it right before the election, where you can't do any damage control." That's what James Comey said. But why he did it. So, but that points to a pro-Trump squadron, a rogue squadron, like a rogue faction inside the FBI that's pro-Trump. That Charles McGonigal, that's one of them. But there's got to be more because Rudy Giuliani had access to them when he leaked that little hint on Fox News. So, and then remember they accuse you of what they're doing. So if they're accusing the FBI of helping the Democrats, then it's really the other way around. There's FBI agents helping the Republicans. So listen to Clay Higgins. Remember, Donald Trump has FBI agents that work for him, not for the American people, but for Donald Trump, like a mob boss.
So real hard, objective, and
it's so funny. I like the way he's all Clay Higgins likes to say hard, objective, hard, as if by saying it hard and acting tough, it's going to be that way. Such bullshit, dude. He's such a performer.
Conservative estimates would put the number of
so hard conservative estimate. That means pretty low on the scale, right? Not very high. not super high, but pretty low on the scale. The low end is what you're saying.
FBI assets.
Of FBI assets. So he's saying the low estimate, the low estimate of FBI assets.
In the crowd, outside, and working inside at well over 200.
So he's saying Donald Trump had at least 200 FBI agents working the crowd. Rogue FBI agents. That's pretty crazy. That must mean there's a giant faction inside the FBI that's corrupt. That's why it's really important to guard your rights. I mean, that's why we have a constitution, right? The Constitution doesn't grant you rights. It protects your rights from the government. And the FBI is a branch of the government. The police are a branch of the government. So the Constitution is there to protect you from them. So it's hopefully going to protect regular Americans from corrupt FBI agents. I'm not saying there's not good FBI agents. I'm not saying the whole FBI is corrupt, but there's a sizable chunk of FBI agents who are corrupt. Look at Charles McGonigal. Look at this guy admitting that at least 200 agents. So, yeah, I would be careful. Or I mean, like, I would take a look at the FBI. Look for people who have seditious ideology, as in and who are more loyal to Donald Trump than they are to the Constitution. I don't know. Can you force them all to take a course on constitutional law or something? I don't know. Force them to. Order them to. You're ordered to go to college. That's funny. I mean, it would actually be good if we had educated police officers and FBI agents. It'd be great. Okay, what else is going on? Yeah, dude, that's my picture of the cold inversion that I forgot to show you. The cold inversion. So up over here are mountains, and this blue area here is the valley. Look at the difference. So this blue area is down low, and these are up high in the mountains. So the mountains are not going to get any very much snow. Like, it sucks. That's where you want the snow to be, is up in the mountains, because it stays up there, makes a snowpack, and then during the summer it melts off bit by bit, giving you water. Like, ta-da! The other way they have it right now, it's terrible, because it's washing off all this warm air is washing off all the snow. And then down here we're just frozen. We can't do anything. Like, literally, I'm stuck in the house. I can't go anywhere. Any cars that go... I live on a hill, so if I leave the house, I'm not getting back. Oh, man. Not until Tuesday when it gets above freezing in the daytime. And then it refreezes at night. So, man, I don't know what's going to go on. Winter time... Climate change, right? This is weird. We're a temperate rainforest, not a Great Plains or something. I don't know. Who gets freezing rain? Isn't that like lake effect or something? I don't know. That's lake. I don't know. But it sucks. Okay. Da 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 da. What's this one? Gee, Wally, if most Republicans believe Antifa, BLM, and violent left-wing activists stormed the Capitol building on January 6th, then why do they all oppose a commission to investigate it? Things that make you go, Here's the weaponization of government. Rep. Barry Loudermilk, who represents the Northwest Georgia district that borders that of Marjorie Greene, has announced that the Oversight Subcommittee that he chairs will launch an investigation into Cassidy Hutchinson. Remember, Cassidy Hutchinson was a person who at first was under the lawyers of Donald Trump. But then she ditched the lawyers and got her own lawyer. And her own lawyer said, you don't owe any loyalty whatsoever to Donald Trump. You should testify and say everything. And so she's like, okay. So she did. And the right wing hate her for it. They hate her for it. Because her flipping opened up a lot of information for the authorities, the investigative authorities, to go check out. Like, oh, we didn't know that. Thanks for the information. Now we know where to look and what to ask for. Type thing, right? So they hate her for it. They hate her. They hate her. So remember I said that Republicans weaponize government? That's what they do. They accuse others of what they do. So they always say that Democrats are weaponizing government, but actually it's Republicans who weaponize government. So the latest reiteration of Republicans weaponizing government is this investigation into Cassidy Hutchinson. Why? Why would you do that? Why? There's no reason, dudes. There's no reason. What you're doing is a fishing expedition. What you're doing is you're going to go dig through her history and her shit and her contacts, whatever you can, anything you can find, you're going to look for it to use against her and discredit her. That's what you're doing. Why? How could you possibly do that? Well, because they have this. He chairs a subcommittee which has enormous power, the weight of Congress behind him. He has the authority of Congress to go forward and conduct this investigation. So he has a lot of resources. He's not just, hey, private eye, why don't you go dig through her trash? No, it's it's like, I'm gonna send like police teams and shit and have access to databases and can do like cross-referencing and shit and super deep investigation just to find dirt to discredit you. That's weaponization of government. You shouldn't use those amazing resources to unjustly go after someone you don't like. You have but that's what they're doing, and that's what they do. That's their modus operandus. That's what they've been doing to Hunter Biden. Remember, Hunter Biden. This whole thing started with Hunter Biden's laptop, right? But the thing is that they didn't actually get a laptop. What they got was a hard drive. So what that means is that someone stole his shit and then hacked it to get it out, and then put on whatever they wanted on there. There could be, you have no idea what stuff of that is real. Because there's no chain of command to it. There's no record of where it went. All you have is a hard drive. You don't have the actual thing. So, anyways, they're weaponizing government to go after Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. And they're doing it to all their enemies. They're trying to get, what's his face, Mayorkas impeached. because he's their enemy. I don't know. They just weaponize government. That's what they do. Okay, next one. Where people live. 90% of Canadians live in this region. Although, I think, with climate change, that might change. This is a map of population density of California. You can see the red is where most people live, and everything else is pretty empty. I can confirm it because I drove through a lot of it. I drove through a lot of the empty part. Yeah, I've been once upon a time. I've been down there. Damn, dude. I've been all over. And then, like, of course, well, not a lot, but, like, enough. And then over, yeah, over an 80. And, like, never. That's funny. Anyways, let's see. What else we got? Oh, yeah! So in 2018, the New York Times reported that Trump got $413 million from his dad. That's how he got started. He's not a self-made billionaire. He had like a bunch of money given to him by his dad, and it was to like dodge taxes. It was a way of dodging taxes. It wasn't really his money. It was his dad's money, I guess. I don't know. But that story was real like embarrassing for Trump. He didn't like it. So he sued the New York Times saying that's not true. And then the New York Times was like, look, we stand by our reporting. And then it went to court. And Trump lost. So that story stands. And now he has to pay the New York Times like $400,000, and I don't know why, but it's just more Trump losing is what I'm saying. He always loses his court cases, except with see, that's the thing. He's not in it to win it. He's in it to delay it. So that's what's going on with Judge Cannon in the Florida document case. So Donald Trump stole a bunch of secrets and was going to sell them. I tried to sell them and left them in a place where spies could get to. It was like ridiculous. It was dumb. It was like the stupidest thing ever. But the judge he got there was one of his corrupt judges. After he lost the election, he appointed Judge Eileen Cannon to the bench, and it got approved by Congress. But this judge is like no good. This judge is a really bad judge. She's delaying the case a long time for no reason. And well, the reason is because Donald Trump wants to delay the case. He knows he cannot win. If the case ever came to trial, he would lose. Because there's no doubt about what he did. The whole thing he wants to do is to delay it as long as possible so people forget. And he's hoping that he gets to a point where he becomes president. And remember what he said: presidents can't be tried, are above the law. So his whole deal is to seize power in 2024. Look for it. You already know they're Nazis. You already know they're Nazis. So, okay, but that's the that brings me to the next part. That doesn't really necessarily absolve Joe Biden of what's going on. I need to turn me down, dude. I'm like super loud. La la la. La la la. La 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 la. La la la. La 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 la. I don't know. La la la. Because currently right now South Africa has brought Israel before the World Court on charges of genocide. Pretty amazing, man. That happened within weeks. That's efficiency. How long has it been taking us to hold Donald Trump accountable for his coup attempt? I mean, the guy's running for president again. That's how bad it is over here. They're able to bring a whole ass country to court faster than we can. Like, it's ridiculous, dude. It's ridiculous. How does it go? Which one should I do? I don't know. I don't know which one's the best.
The first genocidal act committed by Israel is the mass killing of Palestinians in Gaza, in violation of Article 2A of the Genocide Convention. As the UN Secretary General explained 5 weeks ago, the level of Israel's killing is so extensive that nowhere is safe in Gaza. As I stand before you today, 23,210 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli forces during the sustained attacks over the last 3 months. At least 70% of whom are believed to be women and children. Some 7,000 Palestinians are still missing, presumed dead under the rubble. Palestinians in Gaza are subjected to relentless bombing wherever they go. They are killed in their homes, in places where they seek shelter, in hospitals, in schools, in mosques, in churches, and as they try to find food and water for their families. They have been killed if they failed to evacuate. In the places to which they have fled, and even while they attempted to flee along Israeli-declared safe routes. The level of killing is so extensive that those whose bodies are found are buried in mass graves, often unidentified. In the first 3 weeks alone, following 7 October, Israel deployed 6,000 bombs per week. At least 200 times it has deployed 2,000-pound bombs in southern areas of Palestine designated as safe. These bombs have also decimated the north, including refugee camps. 2,000-pound bombs are some of the biggest and most destructive bombs available. They are dropped by lethal fighter jets that are used to strike targets on the ground by one of the world's most resourced armies. Israel has killed an unparalleled and unprecedented number of civilians, with the full knowledge of how many civilian lives each bomb will take. More than 1,800 families, Palestinian families in Gaza, have lost multiple family members, and hundreds of multi-generational families have been wiped out, with no remaining survivors. Mothers, fathers, children, siblings, grandparents, aunts, cousins, often all killed together. This killing is nothing short of destruction of Palestinian life. It is inflicted deliberately. No one is spared, not even newborn babies. The scale of Palestinian child killings in Gaza is such that UN chiefs have described it as a graveyard for children. The devastation, we submit, is intended to and has laid waste to Gaza beyond any acceptable, legal, let alone humane justification.